Going on YouTube, CloverBells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be recapping Day 2 results from the Stuttgart Regionals. So it just wrapped up a few hours ago, and it was very, very entertaining. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure you at least watch Top Cut. Those are some very, very dramatic three-setters amongst the players, and a lot of it came down to, you know, simple RNG, simple crits or misses here and there, but overall, like, exceptional play all around. So make sure you at least watch those rounds if you haven't done so. But overall, again, we did see Eden Batchelor come out on top, and they were using Dud. So again, Dragonite, Ursaluna, Gholdengo once again comes out on top. It's a rising trio. It's a very dominant trio. We've spotlighted it on the channel before. As expected, it did well here yet again. It's going to do well for the rest of the way until Toronto, right? So basically now what happens is people are going to take a look at the results here, and they're going to adjust their teams. They're going to maybe build new teams because we've got the Grand Challenge coming up. We have, you know, Perth Regionals coming up if you're over on that side. And of course, we have the big culminating Toronto Regionals, right? That will be the big one for regulationH. And then after that, the brain fully switches over to regulationG. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to preview the teams that did well, and we'll look at some niche options that, you know, made Day 2 even further. You know, we did preview them a little bit in Day 1, but how far did those options get? And we'll offer some insight into Toronto if you are in fact going. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the teams and let's look at the data. Okay, just kidding. What I meant to say was that we're supposed to look at usage rates first before we jump into the teams. I did forget about that. But here we are. So we'll touch a little bit upon Day 1 because we did this in the previous video. But what's noteworthy here is Incineroar climbing back up to 40% usage. Remember where Incineroar started, like right around 25, 27% towards the beginning of the format, but then has slowly made its way climb back up into the S tier category. And now you're up to 40% usage. My goodness, just a shade under Sneasler. And then, of course, Gholdengo and Rillaboom to follow. But now you see both bears on both graphics here, and it is Blood Moon Ursaluna pulling ahead of the regular Ursaluna, 23% usage versus 18, but good percentage from both of the bears. Electabuzz still going strong here at 21%. Of course, one of the best redirectors right now because you can deny 2 of Sneasler's status conditions, right? Because you can't get slept and you can't get paralyzed, so the only thing is just poison, and that's the least of the 3, right? And then after that, you know, Dragonite, Archaludon are your top dragons right now. Scale Shot D-Knight still going good. Archaludon doesn't even have to be on rain teams. It's still like just overall solid, whether you have the Assault Vest set or you have the Power Herb set. Gambit continues to decline. Okay, now we're not even at 20% usage. Now it's at 17%. And Among Us is barely making the graphic here at 16%. However, that changes if you take a look at Day 2 here. So let's look at Day 2 and some very, very interesting results here and conversion rates here. Look at this. We got a new king, or should I say the old king is back on top. Incineroar at 47% usage, topping Sneasler by a wide margin now. Look at Sneasler dipping down to 38%. Okay, dipping to 38%. Okay, right? I say that lightly, but look at this. Like, we knew this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time before Incineroar was going to take over the format yet again, and a fitting time because the format is coming to a close and the cat is back on top here. Would that be the case as we head into Toronto? We'll have to wait and see. But here we go. Incineroar, Gholdengo at number 2 there. Dragonite now number 3, 39%. Okay, that's interesting. Rillaboom dipping all the way down to 27%. Now you don't even see Kingambit in the graphic anymore, so that's gone. And now look at this. Among Us back up to 27% usage. Remember where it was at 16. So excellent conversion rate, almost 11% here. And then Sinistcha making the graphic here, 18.8%. That's expected because there's a lot of teams using Sinistcha over the Among Us. And pros and cons, right? But the healing that you can get with Sinistcha is just so good. And then, of course, the Trick Room potential that you can set up for not only against the Tailwind teams, but for your regular Ursaluna's is also like very, very strong. But after that, then you have Archaludon there, 34%, Pelipper 32%. That's pretty much consistent, right? And then, you know, now you have Blood Moon and the regular Ursaluna, 25 and 24%. So almost neck and neck here. Basculegion still looking pretty good there, whether you are on the rain team or you're the Choice Scarf adaptability set. 20% usage now, much higher than the Gambit. So very interesting day 2 turnout here. So we'll have to see how this plays out as we go into Toronto. But the fact that Incin is looking really good right now, is that healthy? Yes, it is. I think it is. So it's good to see Incineroar back on top, and you're gonna see that as we head into Regulation G, because in a restricted format, Incineroar is like the not only just like the king, but like the supreme king. Okay, so we'll preview that when we get closer to Regulation G. But very good day 2 results here. So now let's look at the teams and let's see where a lot of these options lie. Okay, let's look at the top 8 results here, and it's a very diverse top 8 in all honesty. And that's good. That's what we want. And that's what regulation has been all about. Like a lot of diversity, a lot of things were viable this format. So that was pretty cool. I'm also going to miss regulationH when it's all said and done. But anyway, I digress. Let's look at Eden's team here. It's very standard cookie cutter Doug here with Dragonite, Blood Moon Ursaluna with the Assault Vest, Vacuum Wave Tech there, and the Life Orb Gholdengo. You got Incineroar, Among Us defensive backbone. We love these two, okay? You're going to see a lot more of that as we go into Regulation G, and of course the deadly Sneasler for your raw burst damage, your secondary fake out user. Oh, wait a second, hold on a second. Close combat Dark Ultra, no fake out here on this Sneasler action. Just 3 hard hitting moves, and you know the throat chop there, the tech, okay, the dark move tech. Okay, usually you see Terra Dark on this, but we are looking at Stellar Terra over here, so that's very interesting to forego the fake out. But it's not uncommon, and I have seen this, over the last couple of weeks. But good to see that here and take first place here. But overall, very standard here. This is Tailwind D-Knight. That's a little bit more evident now on a lot of these compositions, where now you just have Scale Shot as your only attack, and then you just have Haze as your secondary, move there. That's along with Tailwind, not doing damage, but again removing debuffs where you see fit. After that. Second place here, Francesco Pero, right? They had a great final, but like we said, in multiple of our videos, the standard Rain is still good even now, okay? I can't say this enough. Since late August, this 6 is still not only topping tournaments, but even winning them. Second place here, no surprise here, okay? Again, if you had to pick up a regulationH team right now, pick this one up, okay? Because this has proven to be successful throughout the course of time, okay? Again, Incin Among Us defensive backbone, okay? You've got your Rain Core with Archaludon, Pelipper, and Basculegion, and then, of course, Life Orb Gholdengo yet again, sharing 3 options as the first place team from Eden. Then, as we go down here, we spoke about this Hydreigon team, remember? We did a whole team building video on this. Goggles, Tailwind, Hydreigon with Snarl support. Snarl is so good right now. You need to cripple the Gholdengos and the Blood Moon Ursalunas. And that's what this is doing here. And with Levitate, you have good synergy here with the regular Ursaluna. But of course, yet again, defensive backbone. Give me that Incineroar. Give me that Among Us. Give me Gholdengo that can set up with the Among Us. All right, you've got your Tailwind here, and that's Hydreigon. And now this Porygon is, your Trick Room setter, of course, that you need to enable this Ursaluna. But I would not be surprised if this Ursaluna had almost max speed to outspeed another Sneasler. Because that's what a lot of these Ursaluna teams on these Tailwind teams are doing right now. So, just pay attention for that. Fabian Brown, look at this. Typical Sneasler balance team. We like this version, actually. Coaching into D-Knight. Then you have Gambit, still looking pretty strong on this composition. Electabuzz, again, redirection support. And then Volcarona, Rillaboom just comes in and fit in wherever they seem fit. Volcarona, another win con on this type of team. So really solid overall. We've seen this for months already. So great job to Fabian here. Then how about this one? Ryan from France. Look at this. Tyranitar old school sand team, right? You got Tyranitar, Talonflame, Gholdengo, Among Us, okay? And then Garchomp here. That's your standard 5 for a typical sand team like this. Then you add Milotic here. Usually that's something like Primarina from the early format, but now we see Milotic here. And with the rise of Incineroar, Milotic actually does have a merit on this type of team, because now you get the competitive boost. Now you deal a lot of damage with Scald, and now you have you still get Haze just like Primarina, and then you also have speed control with Icy Wind, which is very nice. So a key burn from a Scald can just cripple a lot of these physical attackers that are running around. So Milotic here, proving its diligence here, and the goggles, again, you get to go around the Amoonguss stuff and not have to care about Rage Powder. So that's always very, very helpful here. So I like this. Nice to see this type of sand team do well and this placement over here. But as we go into 6th place here, again, the Vivillon P2 Balance team, that's still looking pretty good even right now, and it has looked pretty good, the last almost 2 months now. So nice to see that do well here. It's a Tailwind Vivillon, so maybe this Ursaluna again is that speed tier where you get to outspeed a Sneasler, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because that's how I would build it. Mr. Joe Ugarte, he's been very, very strong in Regulation H, and he's still using this Jump Pluff team. So nice to see him make it very, very far yet again. So congrats to Joe. And then, of course, 8th place here, Mr. Matty Morgan. Almost the same kind of team as Eden, but the main difference here is there is no Blood Moon Ursaluna. There is a Porygon instead. And, one would have to wonder, is one better than the other? No, I don't think so. I think it just depends on the player. And Matty's been playing this 6 for a while, so he knows his lines, I'm sure. But this is coaching Sneasler right into Dragonite here. But look at this, no Tailwind on this D-Knight. It's Scale Shot, Stomping Tantrum, and Encore Dragonite. Very, very interesting, right? And then the Ice Beam, Terra Blast, Terra Ground on the Porygon here. So overall, nice, diverse top 8 there. And that's good. That's what we're looking for. So if you're looking for a team for, your next Cup games, make sure you can pick up one of these. But also, we're going to preview some other cool teams that even though they didn't make top 8, but we're still very, very strong in day 2 overall. So let's look at those teams, and let's also spotlight some of the niche options that we saw in day 1, because they got very far too. So let's take a look at those. Okay, I want to spotlight this 4 because, again, this core has been rising as of late in terms of Archaludon Rain. First of all, there's so many different variations of Archaludon Rain. We just showed you one, but this is another one that has been rising. And usually this has the Dragonite and the physical Ursaluna, to round out the 6. But actually, there were some other teams that did not go that direction, but still did very well. So I want to see some of that variance. But look no further than down here. Okay, right away, Jonathan Marston. Look at this. So you've got Archaludon, Basculegion, Sinistcha, Pelipper, and then you add Dragonite. So that's okay. But instead of the Ursaluna, we have the Incineroar here. So a little bit more defensive option here with your Incineroar. This is almost like Amoonguss, right? So Amoonguss, but now you have Sinistcha as another kind of defensive backbone here. And you're still getting Tailwind. But what's also rising on these Pelippers is Muddy Water. So spread damage here from the Muddy Water and foregoing the Weather Ball there. So that's already interesting in itself. And then this is Life Orb Basculegion rather than the Band. So you're getting the best of both worlds here, where you're still getting the damage, but you still have the option for Protect, and you can also use another move and not lock yourself with the Choice Band there. So that's already one type of variation. And then as we go down here into 14th place from Marius, look at this. This one has that core again, but instead of Dragonite and Ursaluna, we have the Maushold Annihilate returning here. And usually when you have Maushold Annihilate with Basculegion, with Archaludon Pelipper, usually you want something like screens along with the Sinistcha, but instead of the screens, let's go a little bit more offensive and more burst damage potential, and let's add the Basculegion instead, right? So this is another way to use that, and I like this 6-2. So nice job there from Marius. And then as you go into 16th place over here, Luca Cerebelli, right? We know this player very, very well, of course, world champion. But look at this Pelipper again with that core, and then here's Dragonite Ursaluna, right? So that's also very, very solid. So that's cool. Again, we knew that would come here, but again, it just wasn't going to be the only way to play the Sinistcha route with the Rain direction, because we did show you some variances. This one yet again has the Incineroar here, all things considered. So instead, you forgo the Basculegion and you still keep the Dragonite and the Ursaluna, but you add the Sinistcha here instead. So see how you're like able to mix and max your options here. First of all, this is Wide Guard Pelipper. You'll see this a lot more in Regulation G, by the way. So just stay tuned for that. But Snarl as a tech on Archaludon, right? That's rising, and you're forgoing the Dragon move altogether because, too often you're just gonna get baited into the Terra Fairies, right? And then you're kind of stuck there. But how about if you click Snarl and neuter the Blood Moon Ursaluna and neuter the Goldengos too, right? So that's the idea with the Snarl tech, and that's why Hydreigon has risen a lot as it has been, because Snarl is just so good, and it's a stab Snarl user in itself, right? So that's pretty good. But then as you go further down, look again, you still see this from Ferdinando here. But I just want to see if there was like some other variances there. I know that, you know, amongst the top 32, there was a couple, and that's what I wanted to preview there. This one, even though it wasn't Sinistcha based, this one did have the Gambit variation, which was again another early type of August team from Rain in itself. All right, here we go yet again. The same 6 that we showed you earlier. Instead, forgoing the Grimmsnarl screens or the, you know, the Boo Boo Key screens from Klefki, and still just going the offensive direction with Basket Legion. So I do like that in terms of what we saw from Rain. And then we have some other interesting Rain teams. I want to preview this a little bit later in the video because that one is a little bit interesting in itself. But there you go. Those were some of the interesting options that you can pair with these 4. So do with it with what you will, but you can always mix and match, and it just depends on how you want to play the team. But the core in itself remains the same. Both Kommo-O and Tyranitar have had a decent amount of an increase as of late, and for good reason. Like, Tyranitar is very strong right now. Again, with the Assault Vest, you're able to just take a lot of these special attacks, you know, from stuff like Blood Moon or Ursaluna relatively well. Even Pelipper has a hard time dealing with Tyranitar, regardless sand or not. But the set is pretty standard. You know, you got your Rock Slide, you got your Knockoff. Okay. Again, removing key items is going to be essential, you know, with using your Tyranitar. Then you have Low Kick. Okay, you know, that's great against Kingambits and other dark types in general. And then, of course, Terra Blast with Terra Flying. So this way, you can KO your funny Sneaslers, right? And they get their sash broken because you have the sand. So this has been going very well for Tyranitar as of late. Then the Kommo, you know, usually you have Overcoat here if you are paired with Tyranitar. So this way you don't take any Sand Chip and you don't have to worry about Amoonguss shenanigans. But if not, Soundproof is looking pretty good. Okay, because with Soundproof, you don't care about Hyper Voice, whether it's Primarina or whether it's Blood Moon Ursaluna, and you don't care about Snarl, and you don't care about Parting Shot. So if you're not paired with Tyranitar, Soundproof is amazing for Kommo because you can't neuter this damage with Parting Shot and Snarl. So if you have the standard set with Clanging Sails and Clanging Soul, and then pair this with Flamethrower, you know, for your steel types that can kind of wall it, Terra Fire to resist the fairy damage and the ice damage, like this looks really good. And then you're boosting your damage with Throat Spray. Very, very nice. So Kommo-O looking really strong right here. And sometimes you'll see the niche Aura Sphere or even something like, you know, Flash Cannon. But the other way to play it is, of course, the Iron Defense Body Press stuff. But these two have been very strong. Whether or not they're together doesn't mean a thing because they have both thrived, you know, regardless. So let's look at some of those. So we showed you one earlier in 5th place here. But then down here, okay, from Hippilite, right? Again, the P2 balance with the flexible 6 slot, and Tyranitar can be that flexible 6 slot here with, again, the set that we showed you. And good synergy with Ursaluna yet again because you can Earthquake next to Tyranitar. You can just go Terra Flying. You can go for Earthquake Rock Slide plays, interestingly enough. But T-Tar having weather control over Torkoals and Ninetales and even Pelipers is quite strong as it is. And you have the highest base stats of all of them. So T-Tar looking pretty good. Then as you go further down, you'll see some other Kommo-O and Tyranitar teams, like even this one, right? So this one doesn't use Tyranitar, but look at this. You've got Kommo-O, Sinistcha, Electabuzz, Incineroar. I love that 4. That 4 has been very solid. Now you add screens from the Ninetales, another weather control Pokemon, not Tyranitar, and then you have Sneasler here with Fake Out. So look at this, double Fake Out, double redirection. You got screens, you have healing, you have speed control, okay? You have disruption with Taunt and Parting Shot here. This is Helping Hand Incineroar, by the way. So Helping Hand Clanging Scales is very interesting in here. So we're giving up Flare Blitz, but that's okay. Like, you have a result here for Helping Hand, and I don't knock it. It's quite good. Okay, but this is always pretty good because, again, you can just Parting Shot into Sinistcha, get some healing, then you can protect, click Life Dew, and the Kommo is back to full health again. Then you can repivot out into Electabuzz or Incineroar and just keep alternating your support options and keep healing yourself. and eventually the Kommo just becomes very difficult to break. And then the clanging scales can just sweep opponents. And if things want to Terra Fairy in front of the clanging scales, then this is where you bring out something like Sneasler, give them the poison move, against their Terra Fairy typing, and you're just kind of chilling from there. So I like that. Then here, look at this. This is size spam Tyranitar stuff, but it's not really size spam. It is just the male Indeedee here with choice specs. Okay, I guess it is, right? With the Blood Moon, the Talonflame, the Electabuzz. We've seen these 4, these 5 technically. This is something like a Dragonite usually, but here we see Tyranitar yet again. So you can even fit in T-Tar on some of these hyper aggressive teams. So I do like that. And it just makes sense. If you want to play Tyranitar that way, you can definitely do that. You don't always have to go with Garchomp or Excadrill for that matter. It still works, right? Now, how about this one? Speaking of Excadrill, from Mr. Buenti, aka Matt, using the Yatem Koem Kilowattrel build over here. Again, the choice specs, Kilowattrel so strong here. Discharge next to Excadrill, just very, very good. And you can't really intimidate these guys, because if you do, you're going to make this bird even stronger, because now you're getting a competitive boost and you've got choice specs damage. The Kilowattrel is going to sweep you if you're not careful with how you position your intimidates in itself, right? And this is what we spoke about. Here's the Aura Sphere Tech on the Kommo, the fighting move against those steel types, against those Archaludons, right? This is the beauty of it. And again, it is overcoat with Terra Steel. Again, just able to resist some of its weaknesses. But other than that, Sash, Excadrill, AV, Tyranitar, very standard here. Defensive background, Incineroar, right? So no surprises there. Okay, so good job, Mr. Buenti. And as we go further down, we see a few more Tyranitar Sand teams right here in 60th and 62nd place. Look at this one. This one has the Fire Water Grass Core with Volcarona, Basculegion, and Rillaboom here. And here's your weather control with Tyranitar. And then here's D9. You have to just be careful sometimes, Tyranitar and D9 on the same team, because the sand just breaks your multi-scale. So just be aware of that. But it's still like a fine way to play it. Like this one is a hyper aggressive team. With Whimsicott Tailwind, there's T-Tar Chomp with Goldengo here, Terraflying T-Tar, again avoiding the Earthquake from the Chomp, the same way you would do that for Excadrill, and then Magmar redirection support to help set up the Annihilate here. Also very, very solid. And I just want to find a few more here, but you can kind of see the cores here, whether or not they're with each other. Like T-Tar and Kommo are still fine. Like this one is the Nils Dunlop team, right? With this 6 here, I think they had Magmar in itself rather than the Mousehold here. But other than that, again, it still works. It's very strong. Here's another one. Look at this one from Fevzi. We previewed this in day 1, 6-5 now though. Again, Rabombi here with Tailwind. There's your Gastrodon here. Tyranitar with Glamora. That was an interesting pairing. But of course, Glamora loves the sand. It's basically a special defense boost. So this was pretty cool. Another creative way to use it. But there were some other Kommo teams. But 5-3 is like still pretty solid, like in a big regional like this. But overall, like I do love these two. And again, you don't have to use them together. They do very well by themselves. Okay, these 4. The burst offensive pressure makes this a very, very good solid core. Now, again, it doesn't have to be the Talonflame as your Tailwind setter. Sometimes you'll either have something like the Whimsicott, or you'll either have the Murkrow here. Either way, give me a Tailwind setter with these 3. Blood Moon, URSALUNA'S, Sneasler, and Indeedee, male Indeedee with the Expanding Force. Lots of burst damage, lots of offensive pressure, okay? And it's hard to really, resist all of that at the same time. And they did very well here in Stuttgart. So if I go into Pokédata, right, and if I start scrolling down here, I'm going to find a lot of this. Okay, so right away, right here in 21st place and even 22nd place here, Mateo. Okay, he's got the D-Knight and the Electabuzz as his last 2 slots here, but there's your 4. Talonflame, Blood Moon, Ursaluna, Life Orb, Blood Moon, right, a little bit more burst, Sneasler, and the Indeedee here with Expanding Force. And then just round it out with D-Knight and the Electabuzz here. Again, just Electabuzz, solid redirector, redirect any of the Sneasler shenanigans. That's what we're looking for. Then down here, okay, same thing. Here's the Murkrow as your Tailwind setter, Indeedee, Ursaluna, Sneasler. Your last 2 slots, give me Hisuian Arcanine, give me Amoonguss. We've seen this before in a couple of other regionals in prior. Then a little bit more down here, but not that far. 29th place from Mr. Feist look at this. Same thing here, but instead of D-Knight Electabuzz, we've got Tyranitar and Electabuzz here. So again, controlling the weather, and just again, another strong offensive threat here. This is Specs Indeedee, by the way. This is not Focus Sash, because again, it gets broken by the sand from Tyranitar. So Specs Indeedee with Expanding Force, tons of damage. So just be aware of this. Okay, I like that a lot. Like whether it's Specs or Scarf, it's pretty good. Then 41st and 42nd place over here, same thing. Here's the Whimsicott as the Tailwind Setter instead of the Talonflame Shash Murkrow stuff. But we've got Arcanine and the Archaludon here. And, you know, again, just raw burst damage. Like, again, this is Power Up Archaludon, not the Pelipper stuff. So immediately I can go for these Electro Shots. This is Stalwart Archaludon, by the way, not the sturdy one. And this is Arcanine Air. Again, just Intimidate support. With Flare Blitz, Rock Slide, good damage, good pressure, and it's Clear Amulet too, so this thing can't get intimidated in itself, which helps a lot, right? Here's another one, right? Murkrow, Indeedee, Blood Moon, Ursaluna, Sneasler, but look at the other two. Dragapult, okay, and Armarouge. Again, a lot more damage. Dragapult, the fastest thing in the format. Not as much right now, but still very, very good. And then the Armarouge with the Power Herb set rather than the Archaludon, right? And Expanding Force, Heat Wave stuff. So, you know, just a lot of side spam here, but this is the female Indeedee, by the way, not the male one. So you still have some flexibility in how you want to play. You don't always have to go the Tailwind route. You can go the Trick Room direction with these guys, which obviously helps a lot in how you play it here. Then right here, 47, 48, same thing here. This is the D-Knight Electabuzz variant. All right, so that one we know very much. But how about Mr. Frederick Nielsen here? I was going to wait to preview this one towards the end, but how about Chandelure in this slot as opposed to something like Tyranitar or Dragonite here? Again, we spoke about this in day one. Flash Fire Chandelure. Again, you don't care about the sun stuff from Zard or Torkoal or Typhlosion. You just click Heat Wave and things melt. This is Charcoal Chandelure. Again, base 145 special attack, does a lot of damage, okay? And then you still get access to Haze just like Dragonite, and you get Trick Room here, right? And so you have two Pokemon here with Trick Room. And then, of course, Raw Shadow Ball from a Chandelure is also going to do a lot of damage. So that's also like a nice little tech option there. And then even one more down here towards 60, I think it was like 97th right here. Where is it? No. Oh, yeah, right here. Yeah, this one. So look at this. So even though this one wasn't Blood Moon, so look at this. Murkrow, Sneasler, Indeedee. Then you add Delphox here, okay? Then you add Hydreigon here. And then the Ninetales, again, just more pressure here with the weather. The Expanding Force spam, the Hydreigon clicking Choice Specs moves. That's going to hurt a lot. So just be aware of that. That's very dangerous in itself. And this one, of course, again, just Incin and Electabuzz over here. This is the one I wanted to look at, actually. But for going the Tyranitar and the Dragonite here, a little bit more slower, a little bit more defensive for that matter, and just saying, look, I've got all the offense that I have here, right? So let me just get a little bit more of a defensive backbone by adding the Incineroar. So all in all, just a nice way to play it. Again, it's just, how do you want to go this route? Do you want the Talonflame? Do you want the Whimsicott or Murkrow? And then from there, your last two slots really just depends on you. Do you want more burst damage or do you want more support? But either way, it's a good 6. Okay, so now let's look at hard Trick Room stuff, and then we'll look at Trick Room Balance, because those two go hand in hand a little bit, depending on how you want to play some of the options here. But as far as like the hard TR, it's always something like this. You have Indeedee, Hatterene, Torkoal, and Ursaluna as like the base, and then these last slots just all depends on you and how you want to adjust. But even these 4, you might even just change out one of these and just add something else here. But as far as like the core itself, you have a special sweeper and a physical sweeper, and then you have a couple of Trick Room setters. Right, and that's usually the basis for it. So if you go back here into the Pokédata website, of course, right away, immediately the one that stands out is right here at 17th place here from Mr. Alex Soto, right, who always finds a way to make this work, right? So here we go. Indeedee, Hatterene, Torkoal, Ursaluna. Then you have Hisuian Lilligant and the Armarouge here. So it's Power Herb Armarouge with Grass Terra, of course, Expanding Force, Armor Cannon, Meteor Beam, Trick Room. Okay, and then this one right here, look at this adjustment here. Close combat, Sleep Powder after you, that's pretty standard. But then look at this, Triple Axle as your ice move there, right? So that's very, very interesting. Terra Ice too. So nice adaptation there from Mr. Alex Soto. Again, that's great against, the Dragonites that are running around. But you get to break a lot of sash too, right? With triple axles, so that's cool. Then it's Torkoal here, very standard set here with Eruption, Weather Ball, Clear Smog, and then it's Heat Wave. No Protect, by the way. No Protect on this Torkoal. The Rocky Helmet Indeedee. Okay, then it's Life Orb Hatterene with Expanding Force and D-Gleam with Trick Room and Protect. And then the Ursaluna here has Substitute. So a very timely substitute on like the last turn of Trick Room when the other teams just want to double protect. That's very useful because once they double protect, then you can just set up your substitute. And then next turn, even if your Trick Room ends, they still have to try and break you with at least 2 attacks. And sometimes you can just live through those 2 attacks and then just KO them right back with something like this. So that's very interesting in itself. So nice job there from Mr. Alex Soto, doing well with that. Then as we go down, in between we'll find like some Trick Room Balance stuff, but I want to just look at the hard Trick Rooms first. So I think we found another one down here at a 57th place, if what I remember correctly. Yeah, right here. So here's another way to play this. Look at this, Indeedee, Hatterene, Torkoal, Ursaluna, but then you add Gallade here, which is great against Kingambit and Incineroar, which looks really good against these 4. Then you add the Scarf Zard, so you still have like a little bit of a fast mode here with the Scarf Zard, and it's Scorching Sands Charizard. I haven't seen that since Sword and Shield. Weather Ball Zard, Overheat and Heat Wave, very cool Zard set, and then of course the Clear Amulet Gallade is good against the Incineroar workaround. So you can always do something like this. And then look at this Ursaluna, by the way. Rock Slide Ursaluna. That's probably against the Sun stuff, I would imagine. Like Rock Slide Ursaluna. That's very interesting. But to each their own with their techs. It's a good tech. I'm not going to knock it. Obviously did very, very well with it. But as we go down here towards 79th place here, another 7-4 team. It's the Egg. Okay, it's the Expanding Force Executor with the Torkoals, the Ursalunas, and then here's Gallade yet again. So that's another way to play it from Mr. George Lang. So that's cool. And then at 90 and 91 right here, back-to-back Trick Room teams. Okay, Indeedee hat Ursaluna, but no Torkoal. Instead, we get Tyranitar. Okay, / Amoonguss. Okay, how about that for a little bit of balanced play? And then here's Sneasler. This is almost like, balanced Trick Room in essence, right? I wasn't really sure what to make of it, but it did fulfill that category, right? And then right after that, look at this. You still have Indeedee Hatterene, right, with Torkoal, but no Blood Moon or Ursaluna. Instead, you have Garchomp, okay, with Whimsicott and Zard. So you have a mix of the slow mode and you have the mix of the fast mode. So very interesting in that sense. So lots of different ways that you can play the archetype, but it's not just all about hard Trick Room, right? So you got to see where there might be some variances where maybe you add a Tailwind to it, but like the hard Trick Room core is very much defined. Now, as far as like the balance idea, right? This is usually with Incin P2, Ursaluna, Amoonguss. Again, defensive backbone, Trick Room setter, and then Trick Room sweeper with the Ursaluna. These last 2 slots, it just all depends on you and how you want to play the team, but always this 4 has been solid overall. Like we showed you the Vivian ideas in itself, but it goes a little bit further beyond that. So this one uses the Tyranitar as we showed you earlier. This is Highlight's team yet again. So you can have weather control in that sense. So if you want to play that way, you can definitely do that. But after that, as you scroll further down into 52nd place over here, okay, right? Here is the Yanmega idea, right? We've seen this before, but you can go with this direction, with Tailwind, all right, along with the Ursaluna. So again, another target that you can Earthquake next to, but Incin, Amoonguss, Incin, Ursaluna, that's your core of your team. And then how about Goldango as a strong special attacker to add on to this? So that also helps Goldango too, because Goldango loves Tailwind support. So might as well take advantage and add the Goldango while we're at it. Then 2 spots underneath. Okay, how about this? Goldango yet again, but no Amoonguss. Instead, we're opting for Focus Sash Annihilate, okay, with coaching and Final Gambit. Very interesting. Again, the Final Gambit, with P2, like you can just nuke something, click Trick Room, go right into your Ursaluna. You can coach the Ursaluna, you can coach the Dragonite mainly, and in some cases, you can even coach your own Incineroar, to be fair, right? And then, of course, just raw damage with Close Combat and Rage Fist. Okay, so nice ways to play the Annihilate too. It's not just all about Rage Fist bulk up stuff, right? Then down further towards 80th place over here, another way that you can also play this right here. It's the Flamigo idea. Like we've seen this before, right? The Flamigo P2 bounce has been strong, you know, for a couple of months now. So if you still like Flamigo, you can definitely use that way. Otherwise, down here at 92nd, right here from Steve, you can go with the Kilowattrel route, right? But again, the other 5 is still very consistent. Another flying type that you can Earthquake next to. We showed you Yanmega. You can still do Kilowattrel, which will discourage the Intimidates onto the Ursaluna. So that's pretty good. And again, just raw damage with Thunderbolt and Air Slash +2. Like this Kilowattrel, this bird can do a lot of damage if you don't plan accordingly. Okay, and it does have a sash, so it's not like you can KO it in one shot. But both ideas, Hard Trick Room, Balanced Trick Room, they all had very good teams. So it just all depends on how you want to play the archetype. All right, now we've reached the part of the video where we get to preview the niche options and maybe the slightly off meta teams that had some pretty good results. So let's start here at 19th place from Jan Schultes. Okay, look at this Drifblim set along with Rillaboom here. It's a Grassy Seed Drifblim, not a Psychic Seed Drifblim, and there's no Tailwind on this Drifblim. Instead, it's Acrobatic, Strength Sap, Sunny Day along with Wooloo. So look at this. So very interesting Drifblim set. The Sunny Day is going to help the Volcarona. It's also going to change the weather against those Archaludon Rain teams. And Acrobatics is a pretty good move because, again, the move does more damage, you know, once you consume your item. Garchomp can Earthquake next to this, okay? It's just a little bit rare to see Garchomp on the same team as Rillaboom, but it can work, right? You just have to be careful with your positioning. And then the Sneasler here, we're coaching, you know, with 3 different targets here that can benefit. So this is a pretty cool team from Jan. So in itself, congrats to them on the 9-3 result. But as we go further down, some other interesting options. Of course, there's one here in particular, right? Mr. Dan Webb. Okay, I don't know if this is Tolar Webb's brother, probably not, but here we go. Arboliva Assault Vest, right? This was the thumbnail in the previous video, Arboliva. And then even then, I've been looking at some Limitless tournaments. I've seen a few Arbolivas now in Top Cut. And it's very interesting because it's not even like the Assault Vest idea. It's just the fact that you have terrain, you know, with Seed Sour and under Trick Room, you outspeed a lot of the big Trick Room threats like an Ursaluna or a Blood Moon Ursaluna. And then look at this, just Giga Drain, you know, survivability along with Earth Power, and then Mirror Coat as the tech to bounce the stuff right back at them. And then Terra Blast, Terra Fire, also very, very good against another Amoonguss, another Rillaboom for that matter. So nice, interesting niche here with the Arboliva. Okay, just, you know, willingly controlling terrain on your side. And maybe we'll see a little bit more of that in the Global Challenge / Toronto / Perth. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. But nice to see Arboliva of all Pokemon come in here. And then how about this one? Slacking 8-3 result here. And, you know, Toadscruel, Weezing. We've seen this before, but it's just Garchomp, Goldango, Talonflame here. Very strong. And then the slacking here just benefits from the Weezing, of course, right? So Mr. Alberto, nice idea. Nice team here, of course. How about Mr. Pascalis? Okay, from Greece. Again, it's Milotic yet again. Scald, Haze, Icy Wind, Protect. It's Sneasler Balance, right? Just with a Milotic here. And that means you don't have to put Haze on your Dragonite, which means you can go with another attack move besides Scale, Shot, Tailwind, and Haze, right? Now you can have Stomping Tantrum here. So that's another way to play it. But how about this one? You know, with the Annihilate, with the Choice Scarf stuff, with the Hisuian Zoroark. Okay, so we're playing some shenanigans here, but this is a little bit interesting, right? And then, you know, the Hisuian Arcanine comes here yet again. But Blizzard, Moonblast, Aurora Veil, so you get screens. Okay, that's going to support the Volcarona. You have the Fake Out pressure here with the Rillaboom. So lots of things going on here, but I like this. This is another cool off-meta team that normally you don't see. And then how about this one with the Araquanid, right? You don't normally see Araquanid right now. You actually even see this a little bit more in Regulation G because of Wide Guard, and it's another good solid Trick Room setter. I'm sorry, Trick Room abuser, but you see that over here in Regulation H, so that's pretty cool. And again, just Mystic Water, raw damage. You get to smash those Ursalunas, right? And you don't really care too much about the Torkoal Eruption stuff because you have Water Bubble. So nice little niche there from Yannick. Okay, I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. This one had Clefairy here, right? But it's after you stuff. And again, Clefairy is really good in Trick Room because it's so slow. So you can always just do after you stuff in the Trick Room stuff if you want to play it like that. So that's pretty cool. Then as you scroll further down, there's a couple more here that I did see. Oh yeah, this one right here from Enrique. This is the Overquill Choice Specs Polytoad idea. Misty Surge Galarian Weezing. We talked about this in our day one video, right? We liked Misty Surge Weezing. It was one of our 10 niche options that you have to consider. And Enrique must have watched our video because he's using Misty Surge Weezing. You get to stop the Sneasler stuff. You get to reduce dragon damage from stuff like Scale Shot or Draco Meteor. So nice niche here from the Weezing. And it has Rain Dance. Okay, so you still get manual weather control and you get acid spray here. So now the Archaludon and the Choice Specs Polytoad, they're going to do a lot more damage. And even to an extent, your Pelipper and Sinistcha, depending on how you EV them. But nice use of the Galarian Weezing there with the Misty Surge idea. I like that. Then, how about this one? I think we previewed this one already. This one was the Hydreigon Choice Spec set with the Delphox Size Spam shenanigans. So very, very cool team. But overall, there were some interesting Pokemon here. But there is one team left that I want to spotlight. All right, last team here. And I've saved the best for last, of course. There was a CloverBells team in day 2. Did you guys notice it? Really? What? Where? Where was the CloverBells team? Right here. 34th place, 8-3 from Tarek Gaffner. So before we talked about this team in a second, I did... they did inform me that they did use it. So back on our channel, right over here when we released this video 2 months ago for the Grand Challenge, I did release this team with Assault Vest Annihilate. Okay, and look at this team. It was Whimsicott Indeedee, okay, with Expanding Force and Prison Trick Room, right? Tailwind, Moonblast, Encore Sunny Day, very standard Whimsicott set here. The Delphox also just meant to spam Expanding Force and just meant to spam Heat Waves in the sun, right? Then you add Maushold Annihilate here, and this is where like the best of one challenge came into play, where it is beat up Maushold, but at the same time, it's also Population Bomb Maushold, okay? And then from there, it was an Assault Vest Annihilate, not a Scarf, not a Citrus Berry, you know, bulk up set. It was an Assault Vest Annihilate, okay, with Final Gambit, Close Combat, Rage Fizz, and Drain Punch, right? So we put this out there. And the only change that Tarek made, okay, was that he switched the Delphox to Life Orb with Protect, okay? And that was fine, because other than that, everything else was the same to my understanding, and according to what they told me. So, good job, Tarek, for using a Clover team that was 2 months ago, okay? But hey, it still works. So 8-3, great result there, so congratulations. Alright, so that's it for our recap. So let me know what you thought of Stuttgart. And again, if you are still trying to get your last bit of regulationH tournaments in, if you need help for building with Toronto, if you need help with the Grand Challenge coming up, or if you have a couple of League Cup games coming up, and if you're trying to go to a couple more locals and whatnot before regulationH ends, make sure you sign up for coaching on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one session with me, and then we can build you the team that you want for whatever it is you need it for, or even if you just need something for ladder, we can help you out with that. So if you look in the video description, there is a link to join the channel with that tier 3 sub, and if you look in the comment section, there is a pinned comment with that same link that you can click and join with that tier 3 team building session. And then from there, you can join the Discord, and then you can message me accordingly, and then we can plan it out. By the way, the Discord is free, so you can always join that. That one is, of course, available to anyone. So feel free to join that and engage with our community that we have built over the years. It's over 1,000 members now. I can't believe it to this day. But yeah, there's a lot of people there that can definitely help you out too, if not for me. Okay, so yeah, we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.